Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to be creating this beautiful dress up your screen, and this is the one I recreated. If this sounds like what you're interested in, make sure to watch this video to the end, and if you find it helpful, do it to subscribe to my channel, put on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos, and also like, share and comment. And without wasting much of your time, let us get right into the video. Here is a fabric I made use of. This is called a crepe fabric. This is a thick crepe fabric, and I made use of 2.5 years, but I would advise that you have up to 3 years because I managed this fabric. So I'm going to start by rolling out a line at the top, which will serve as my shoulder line. I will come down to my bust point and my under bust. My bust point is 10 inches while my under bust is 13.5 inches. I will mark out the lines again, and then I will go ahead to connect it across. Placing my tape on my shoulder line again, I will go down to my waistline 16.5 inches, and I'll also mark my hip line 25 inches. I'll repeat the lines again in order to get a straight line, and I'll go ahead to connect it across. So from my shoulder to my gown length, I have 35 inches. Okay, I have 35 inches as my gown length. So I will start by labeling the line, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, my hip line. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my shoulder line and take half of my shoulder measurement. I'll place my tape and take my chest line. After marking out my chest line, I will connect the points like this and also connect it across. I will go ahead to label it CL, which is my chest line. So here is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline and my hip line, while the other is my gown length. Okay, so I'll come over to the shoulder and come down by 1 inch. I will take a neck width of 3.5 inches. I'll go ahead to connect it. That is for the shoulder slope. So from my bust point, I'm going to mark half of my nipple to nipple measurements all the way to the hip line, and I will connect into a straight line like so. So come over to the under bust. I will take a dart of 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to divide that 1.5 inches into 2 and mark it in between the straight line, okay, which is 0.75 inches. And from the bust point, I will come down by 1 inch. I will go ahead to connect the points, as you can see me doing like this. So after marking out my dart from the hip line, I'll come up by 4 inches, and I'll go ahead to use the straight part of my ruler to slant it like so. And after that is done, I'm going to go ahead to take my body measurements. So my chest line, I will take my bust measurement divided by 4. I will also bring it down to my bust point. Then on my under bust, I'm going to take my under bust measurement divided by 4. I will replace the 1.5 inches that I took out. On my waistline, I will take my waist measurement divided by 4, and I will also replace the dart I took out. On the hip line, I will divide my hip measurement by 4 and also place it. And after that, from the chest line to the bust point, I will connect with a straight ruler to the waistline and the under bust. Then from my waistline to my hip line, I will use the curved part of my ruler, and I will take the line all the way down, as you can see. So I'm going to determine how off I want the off shoulder to be. Okay, so for me, I'm going to be coming down by 6 inches from my shoulder line. I will mark 6 inches downward like so. I will mark it out again, and I will go ahead to connect across like so. So this my nipple to nipple measurement, I'm going to take it upward on the line where I came down by 6 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to connect into a straight line. So I'm going to tighten this upper bust, and to do that, I will take 0.5 inches on both sides. I will go ahead to connect it back to the bust point. And after doing that, I'm going to replace this that I took out here. So to do that, I will extend this line like this and go ahead to replace the one edge that I took out right there. After that, I'll go ahead to curve out my armhole. I will curve out a normal armhole and then go ahead to curve out this second one. So I'm going to be making use of this second one, okay? I'm not making use of this one. So I will go ahead to shade the parts I'll be cutting out. The next thing I'm going to do is to work on the gathered part of this dress, and to do that, from the waistline I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then on the center of the pattern, okay, the center of the pattern, I'm going to go in by 3 inches. You can also go in by 2.5 inches if you don't want it to be wide. I will go ahead to connect into a straight line, and then from that point I'm just going to dot a line like so, and then go ahead to curve it out. Make sure you blend this out properly, okay? So I'll go ahead to cut out. After cutting this side out, I'll keep it aside. So after cutting out, I will keep this side and center front aside. So let's work on this gathered part. So this shape you are seeing is my hip measurement, as you can see, and the line across is my hip line. So what I will do next is to rule out straight lines from top all the way to the bottom of this paper. I don't have any specific measurement, I'm just ruling out straight lines from top all the way to the down part. I will go ahead to label from 1 to 6. I will bring back the center front and I will go in by 1/2 inch, come down by 2 inches. I will connect the 2 points and cut out. And after doing that, I'll keep it aside. Let's work on the back piece. So I marked out a starting line. From the shoulder, I'm going ahead to mark my waistline and my hip line. I'll also repeat it. The length of the paper is 35 inches and that is my gown length. So here is my shoulder line. Here is my waistline. Here is my hip line, and the length of the paper is my gown length. I will go ahead to take half of my shoulder measurements, and from that shoulder line I will come down to my chest line, 8 inches. I will repeat my shoulder measurement here and go ahead to connect the straight line and rule across as well. So that is my chest line. The next thing I'm going to do is to determine how off I want the shoulder to be. Just like the front, I'm coming down by 6 inches from the shoulder, and after that I'll go ahead to rule it across. So on that line I'm going to take half of my nipple to nipple measurement all the way down to the hip line, and I'll connect with a straight line. After that is done, I'm going to take 0.5 inches on both sides of the dart, as you can see, and I will go ahead to connect it to my chest line like so, and from the hip line I will go up by 2 inches, and I will also go ahead to connect it downward. The chest line, I will divide my bust measurement by 4 and mark it out. On the waistline, my waist measurement divided by 4. I will replace the 1 inch that we took out on the waistline. On the hip line, my hip measurement divided by 4. I will go ahead to connect from the chest line to the waistline with a straight ruler, and from my waistline to my hip line with my curved part of the ruler, and I will go ahead to take it all the way down with a straight line. After that, I'll curve out my armhole. So we are not replacing any darts here, we are not extending this line here because we didn't take out any darts on this area. So from the waistline, I'll come down by 1 inch just like we did for the front, and then I'll bring back this our front piece, okay, this side piece. I'll go ahead to trace the same shape. Instead of marking it out again, I'll just go ahead to trace it exactly the same, and then I'll cut out. So after cutting, this is what I have for the back. So these are my patterns. So I've placed my front piece on a folded fabric, as you can see. So I didn't add any sewing allowance when I was cutting on the pattern paper, so I'm going to add it on the fabric. What I'm doing here is trying to extend the length of my gown, okay, but I later changed my mind and maintain the length I have on my pattern paper. So I'm going ahead to cut out, leaving 1/2 inch on the part that will be attached to the side, 1/2 inch on the shoulder area, so I'll keep it aside. While for the side front, I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches for my side seam. So I'll go ahead to add 1.5 inches for my side seam. After marking it out, I'll connect it. I'll go ahead to cut out, leaving 1/2 inch on the down part, 1/2 inch on the armhole, 1/2 inch on the parts that will be attached to the center front, and 1/2 inch on the shoulder. So for the back piece, I've also placed it on my fabric. Remember that this center back is going to have a zipper, so for that I left some allowance for my zipper. So the next thing I will do is to mark out 1 inch on the center back for my zipper allowance. I'm going to mark it all the way down, as you can see me doing like this. After marking it, I'll go ahead to connect it with a straight line. What I'm doing here is also extending the length of my gown. Just like I said earlier, I later changed my mind and I maintained the length I have on my pattern paper. But once I'm done doing that, I will go ahead to cut out, leaving 1/2 inch on the parts that will be joined to the side back, and also 1/2 inch on the shoulder. After I'm done cutting out my zipper allowance from the waistline of the center back, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch. This is to eliminate zipper bulge. I will take it downward and also take it upward, and after I am done doing that, I will go ahead to cut out. I'll keep it aside, and for the side back, I'll add my stitching allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll also proceed to cut out, leaving 1/2 inch on the down part, 1/2 inch on the armhole, 1/2 inch on the shoulder, and also 1/2 inch on the part that will be attached to the center back. So I'll go ahead to keep them aside. So for the gathered part of this dress, my fabric is in a fold of 2. I'll go ahead to slit this paper open, as you can see. After slitting it open, I will keep it aside. So from the top of the paper, I am going to come down by 10 inches. So this is to make sure that all the patterns are in a straight line. So after marking it, I went ahead to roll it across. I'm going to bring in my pattern. Okay, this is my number 6, and so this cuff part is my hip measurement, and it will be placed on the folded part of the fabric, while this line at the center is my hip line. Okay, so I'm going to place it directly on the folded part of the fabric. I will give 3 inches gap and place the 5th one. So the lines across all this pattern paper is my hip line, so I'm going to be placing it directly on that line I marked out on my fabric in order to get a straight line. Hope you understand. All this line you're seeing is placed directly on the line I ruled out on my fabric in order to get a straight line. So I am placing them, leaving 3 inches space. Okay, as you can see. And if you want your gather part to be fuller than mine, you can go ahead to increase it more than the 3 inches I used. So after placing the last one, I'm going to go ahead to cut out. So guys, sorry that I didn't film the part where I cut the down part on the side. So for the upper part, I'm going to leave 1/2 inch for joining it to the main bodice. Okay, so leave 1/2 inch while cutting, and 1/2 inch on the down part for hemming allowance as well. So after cutting it out, I'll place it in another folded fabric to cut out the other side. Make sure that everything is properly aligned. Okay, let the sides be aligned properly, and then you go ahead to trace the same shape. After I am done tracing it out, this is what you will have when you open it up. I will keep it aside. So for the bodice, I will go ahead to cut out a short lining. Okay, before I start joining, I will cut out a short lining. You can cut out a facing if you like, and if you also want, you can cut out a full lining. The fabric I'm making use of is a thick crepe, so I don't want more thickness to it. I'm just going ahead to cut out a short lining. After cutting it out, I'll also cut out the back part. So here is the back. I'm also tracing the same shape, as you can see. And after I am done doing that, After cutting, this is what I have for the back facing. Okay, this is it for the back facing. If you watch closely, you will notice that the two sides of the center back, they look alike. Okay, they are of the same shape. So in order not to get confused when you are joining it, what you will do is to notch one part. Okay, so I'm going to notch the parts that will be joined to the side back, and this is what I have. So I will go ahead to start joining all my pieces together. Here is my front piece. I'm going to match the side and the center front, right side facing right side. I'll go ahead to pin it down, and after I am done pinning, I will go over to my sewing machine and stitch by 1/2 inch all the way down. As you can see, I'll repeat the same thing for the other side and also stitch up to this point. For the facing as well, I'll place the sides to the center front, right side facing right side, and stitch by 1/2 inch. So for the back, I'm going to bring one side of the side back and match it to one side of the center back and stitch all the way down. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. And the lining piece as well, I will also repeat the same thing, one side to each other. Okay, side and center, I'll go ahead to stitch by 1/2 inch and I'll bring it back. This is my front piece after I was done joining together, and there is the lining piece, as you can see. And for the back, this is what I have for the back. You can see that center back, how curvy it is. So this will eliminate zipper bulge on your back piece. Okay, and this is it for the lining piece. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out the cape we have in front of the front piece, and to do that, my fabric is in a fold of 2 and I have 2 inches, okay, for the length. That is on fold, and wide open you will have 4 inches. So the length I have will be enough for the both side of the cape. I'll divide it into 2. So this is how it's going to be placed. Okay, so I'll place it like this and cut out the excess I have. As you can see, I have excess. I'm going to cut out the excess I have. So I'll go over to my sewing machine and put this together. I will stitch and close this part and the other side. For my sleeve, remember that I minus 6 inches from the front shoulder and 6 inches from the back shoulder. So whatever you minus from your sleeve, go ahead to put it together. Mine is 12 inches. I will add 1 inch to it, making it 13 inches. So the 1 inch is going to be for my stitching allowance. I'll go ahead to fold my fabric into 2 and further fold it into 4. So on this folded part of my fabric, I'm going to go in by 3 inches. I'll go in by 3 inches from that point, and on the down part, which is the open part, I will go in by 1.5 inches. I will go ahead to curve out my sleeve. As you can see, let's go ahead to curve it to go and meet the upper part. Then I will proceed to cut it out. So we're going to be cutting 2 of these, one for the right and one for the left side of the sleeve. So I'm trying to confirm my sleeve length if it's still intact. I'll go ahead to close this part. Okay, just go ahead to close this part. After sewing my sleeve and also closing the cape, the sides of the cape, this is what I have for the sleeve and this is what I have for the cape. So I'm going to go ahead to start joining. Okay, so for this cape, I'm going to place it like this. The open angle, okay, the open angle of the cape is going to be facing upward. It's going to be the part that will be placed on the shoulder. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. I will go ahead to use my pin to secure it. And for the sleeve, this part, this curvy part, is going to be facing the shoulder, while this part is going to be the part that will be facing your neckline. This thread part will be facing your neckline. Okay, I'm going to go ahead to place it on my shoulder. Okay, but before I place it, leave 1/2 inch on the part that is facing the armhole. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch to stitch the lining and my fabric together. Hope you understand. Just leave 1/2 inch before you place your sleeve. As you can see, leave 1/2 inch on that part. I will also place the other side and use my pin to also hold it down, leaving 1/2 inch also before I place the sleeve. And after that, I'm going to use my lining piece to cover everything up, as you can see me doing like this. and I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and stitch just like I am illustrating like this. After I am done stitching, I'll open it up and top stitch towards the lining piece, and I'll bring it back. After I was done doing all that, this is what I have. Okay, I'll go ahead to iron it down. Make sure you use your pressing iron to press everything down. So this is what it looks like. Next thing I will do is to put them right side facing right side, the lining piece and the main fabric right side facing right side. I'll go ahead to close the armhole and the sides, and also fold this down part. Okay, you can also make use of your hemming gun on that part. After I was done doing all that, this is what I have. I iron it out properly. I'm going to go ahead to join this sleeve to my back piece. Okay, so I will bring my back piece, I will arrange it out properly. So I'm going to turn it right side facing right side. Let your front piece and your back piece be placed right side facing right side. I'll go ahead to place my sleeve on my shoulder, leaving ½ inch as well before I place it. I will use my pin to secure it. For the other side as well, I will leave ½ inch and go ahead to place my sleeve, and then I will use my lining piece to cover everything up just like I did for the front. I'll go ahead. So I'm going to turn the shoulder and top stitch towards the lining part, and then I'll finish up my armhole and the sides. Okay, I'll do that and I'll bring it back for the both sides, and also I will hem this down part. This is what I have after doing all that. The next thing I'm doing here is to join the front and the back on the sides. Make sure you use your measurement to join it on the sides. I will also close my zipper allowance with a gather stitch. I'll bring it back after I'm done doing all that. After joining the sides, let's work on the gathered part of this dress. So you can see this cuff part of my fabric. This upper part is the part that is going to be attached to this cuff part, to this waistline. Okay, if you look closely, they have the same shape. Okay, while this down part will be the parts that will be joined to the hem of the dress. So let's go ahead to pin it down. So I'm going to bring that down part and start pinning it to the hem of the dress. As you can see, I'm going to use my pin to hold it down. So I will keep pinning it. Okay, just watch carefully what I am doing. I will keep pinning it upward like so, and when I get to the dart part, you can see it from the back. When I get to this dart part, I'm going to stop pinning. Okay, so this dart part, you can see that's the cuff part of the waistline. Is going to be the part that will also be joined to the cuff part of the fabric, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead to pin the both down like so, and then I'll stop pinning right there, as you can see. So I'm going to turn my fabric to the back part. Okay, so we can join the other side as well. So I'll turn my fabric to the back part and also start joining. Okay, right side facing right side. As you can see, I will start joining it right side facing right side. Okay, you're going to place it, the hem part of the fabric with the hem part of the dress. I'm going to go ahead to pin it. I'll keep pinning it till when I get to where our dart started. I'll also pin it down and stop, as you can see. So after pinning it down, this is what you will have. Okay, this is what we have after pinning it down. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead to gather this excess you have here. You go ahead to gather it to the waistline. So let me turn it to the wrong side so that we can understand what I'm saying. So what you're going to do is to go ahead to gather this excess you have here to this waistline. Make sure it accommodates, this waistline accommodates all this fabric. Okay, after that, this is what I have after joining one side. So we'll go ahead to repeat the same process on this side in case you didn't get the first part. So let's go ahead to repeat the same thing on this part. So you can see this cuff part. Okay, this cuff part is the part that will be placed on this waistline, while this down part, which is a straight part, will be the part that will be attached on the hem of the dress. Okay, I will go ahead to open up my fabric I will pick one side, the side that will align to the front piece. Okay, right side facing right side, like this. Okay, I'm going to start pinning from the down part, from the hem of the dress. So I'll start pinning it like this. And when I get to the dart, as you can see, this is my dart leg. So when I get to the dart, I'm going to stop pinning. So at this point, you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit on the subscribe button. Okay, so after pinning one side, I'm going to flip my fabric to the wrong side so that we can continue from the other side. So I'll also pick one side of my fabric like this. Okay, and I'll bring the back, as you can see. I'm going to pick it like this and start pinning from the hem. I'll continue pinning, and when I get to the dart, you can see I'll stop pinning. So to make it easier, you're going to spread out this excess fabric like this to make it easier. Okay, make sure you spread it out, let it be equal, and you go ahead to notch the center. Okay, after notching the center, you're going to bring it and align it directly on this side seam, as you can see, and I'll go ahead to pin it down. After I am done pinning it down, you will gather this excess. Okay, let this waistline accommodate this excess you are seeing right here. So that is it for the back. After joining it, you also turn it to the front and let the waistline, that point, okay, let that point also accommodate this excess you have here. The last step is to attach my zipper and hem the down part of this dress. If you haven't subscribed to my channel at this point, kindly do that. Hit on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload new video. Do well to like this video and comment. Bye.